What rule was made because of you? My high school used to have a drug project where we'd have to give a presentation on a certain drug. There was a little thing on how it's made, like in a lab, or it's a plant, or whatever. I misunderstood how in-depth that part was supposed to be. Long story short, I spent 15 minutes teaching the entire freshman boys health class how to make black tar heroin, complete with a PowerPoint presentation. They don't have that part of the project anymore. The place I work used to have unlimited coffee for their employees. 3 weeks after I started working, there was a sign above the coffee maker that stated that employees were limited to 3 cups a day. Men are allowed to wear business casual shorts in the office. Dress code didn't allow men to wear shorts, but did allow skirts. Showed up in a kilt until the rules changed. My senior year in HS, I had an English teacher who allowed all work to be turned in up to the last week of class. I turned in pretty much every assignment right about then, apart from the end of unit projects. Next semester, all the work for all units was due at the end of the unit. When I was 12 I discovered what really is masturbation. And as all boys once experienced, at that age, every occasion was a good occasion. My dad brought me and my sisters to a hotel with a pool and a jacuzzi that we had access to from our room. It was getting late, almost 11h, so close to closing time. I was the only one left in the pool area. Every blind was closed. I was alone in the jacuzzi and decided this was the perfect time to jack off. As I finished, I saw one of the hotel staff guys entering the pool area and calmly told me to go back into my room since the pools were closed. I went to my room believing I wasn't caught. The next day, the jacuzzi was closed because apparently a kid had sneezed in it and there was snot, which might have happened, but looking back it might also be my fault. About 1 to 2 months later we went back to that hotel and a rule to not masturbate in the jacuzzi was added. The thing is, 12Y, me never imagined that security cameras were a thing in the pool area. So looming back it is very embarrassing. Edit, my god. I never expected that to blow up as much as it did. Thanks. Now my most dull voted comment is about me coming in a hot tub. Students are prohibited from organizing, advertising, playing, observing, or otherwise engaging in any form of rummy, blackjack, Texas Hold'em, 5/7 card stud/draw, pay gal, or poker during lunch period. Poker chips and cards are prohibited from school grounds, except when required for specific, pre-approved activities or projects. Violation of this policy is subject to expulsion and referral to law enforcement for illegal gambling. This was middle school, decades ago. Our first and last annual school district Texas Hold'em tournament, presented by JR's Bait Shop, was a resounding success. I recently just beat cancer at 13. When I would stay at the hospital they would have to test my urine. Capri Suns made me pee better, and the floor had Capri Suns on the floor. Long story short, I depleted the Capri Sun supply on the whole floor twice. The cafeteria ended up making a rule that you have to order Capri Suns through them. So in 4th grade we had this thing called Wax Museum where you dressed up as a historical figure and gave presentation. So my friend was Harry Houdini, and so he had handcuffs. So as 10-year-olds we were messing with them, and my friend put them on me. These were not the cheap plastic ones at the dollar store, they were prop ones made from real metal. So they get stuck, and long story short I was in the office with 3 people around me trying to get the handcuffs open with pens and a pumpkin knife. My sister said when she had to do it there was no handcuffs allowed. Thanks Nathan for trapping me. The winery we had our wedding at no longer has weddings. Edit, the story, of course, nothing particularly unexpected, but essentially my groomsmen could/can really drink. Most everyone else, not so much. There wasn't supposed to be any hard alcohol at the venue. So of course my gifts to the groomsmen were in great flasks, which of course we all promptly filled with who knows what devil juice they pilfered, distilled, or otherwise acquired. I should note that our wedding planner was pretty uptight in general, and especially about this no hard liquor thing, which my dudes essentially took as a challenge. They, okay. We proceeded to get pretty smashed. and get my old man pretty smashed. And several members of the bridal party. And I'm pretty sure some of the catering staff too lol. Thank God, and this mostly went down after the ceremony. Naturally, drunken shenanigans ensue. Best man had to have the mic taken from him after revealing my arrest record to my new in-laws. One groomsman fell into and somehow damaged the fountain out front. Another groomsman passed out in the parking lot. Big fella. Too. And I can't really remember what else. All in all, it was really just a hell of a party. But the venue was definitely not prepared for our level of energy. Just celebrated our 7-year anniversary 1 month ago today. Close bracket. The library started putting up signs about authorized computer activities because I remotely rebooted the computers of noisy kids over and over. To be fair, it was a library. Students are forbidden to jump out through the windows. My old job. My numbers were suffering, and I was told I needed to shape up or I would be done. The way I saw it, there was no possible way to meet the numbers by following the process. It turned out I was right. Everyone else came to the conclusion. But no one challenged leadership, so everyone was doing their own thing. Then doctoring up the system nodes after the fact to make it look like the established business rules were effective. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm getting fired anyway. I documented everything I was doing different in great detail, showing how my way was faster. Eventually I was found out, and I presented my findings, as well as my evidence of the doctoring everyone else was doing. As a result, they asked me to evaluate the processes for the entire department, and I ended up finding numerous areas of waste and inefficiencies, which we implemented to streamline things 2 to 3 times faster than before. On top of that, I was placed in charge of a special expedite team, to whom the rules did not apply, and we were given free rein to accomplish our assigned high priority tasks by any means necessary. I've moved on to another division, but the policies are still in effect today, and the expedite team is still a thing. Edit, skimmed the comments, and I figure I'll address some of the recurring themes. I would say it wasn't courageous per se. I just literally had nothing to lose. If you wanted to pin a virtue to it, I would say integrity, because I wasn't going to lie. I'm not going to reveal any identifying information, but this was for a CVO. Basically, if you say you're a board certified cardiologist, it's our job to verify that your credentials are all accurate, current, and there are no sanctions against your ability to practice. We don't want people to go sending patients to drive Hannibal Lecter or anything. I'm no longer in that department. I've moved on to doing site administration, web development, etc. And yes, I'm aware of how lucky I'm my leadership listened to me instead of just stonewalling. I was kind of dumbstruck, as I was fully expecting an obstinate "we don't care about your facts, we care about the process" line. I'd even taken home most of my personal effects by then, and everything else I could fit in my duffel bag. To find out I didn't need it was not only a relief, but also a bit panic-inducing, because I was totally not prepared to audit every other function's process. But anyway, that mentality sort of spread throughout the organization, and now we have dedicated individuals whose sole purpose is to sit down with people and watch them do their jobs and ask the stupid questions. That looks like it takes a long time. Why do you have to do it that way, or etc. And you'd be surprised how many times, at least at first. It's been a good 10 years now, so we've cut away a lot of fat. People just stopped and went, you know. I have no idea. That really doesn't make sense, does it? In project management circles, that's known as a Gemba walk. You go to where the work is done and try to find ways it can be done more efficiently without sacrificing quality. A lot of the time it's because people simply don't know there's a better way, like manually drawing a chart because they were completely unaware Excel could draw a chart for them based on a data table. And thanks for the gold. I just recently started using Reddit, and that's actually my first one. Skirts must fall at least 3 inches below your testicles. Birds are not considered a pattern on polos for school dress code. I had a shirt with chickens on it, and the dean called me out in front of the whole school. Tarantulas are not permitted on school property. In elementary school, 2nd grade I think, I had to pee really bad. But I was in music class and my teacher was singing us his song and playing guitar. So I went up to her anyways and asked to pee, and she got upset. And since then she would remind us all that we can't go up to her while she's singing to ask to pee. I just didn't want to pee my pants. Woman. My high school made us leave our backpacks in our lockers because my Spanish teacher tripped over mine and sprained her ankle. She was on crutches and everything. She was a raging bitch. But I still felt really bad. The lacrosse team I played for in college isn't allowed to drink on team trips anymore. No selling Coca-Cola in the hallway. No aluminum bats on campus. Spanish class pin at a party gone very wrong. Still have the scar. There is a required pin to change profile pictures on the classroom iPads now. This is because I decided to change every staff member's profile picture in the school iPads to a smiling old Mexican man on April 1st. In high school my group of friends and me started bringing a grill to school to make toasted ham cheese sandwiches in the lunch breaks. Soon after, more and more kids brought their grills to school. After about a week, the school banned grills on school property completely as they claimed it was a fire hazard. No obscene or disturbing costumes. For Halloween last year in school, I applied makeup following some tutorial I saw to make myself look like Two-Face from that Batman movie. Looked like my face was ripped off. I was going to my first guitar lesson at school, so I asked someone where the band room was, and he pointed in its general direction. I tried to open the door that led to the room he pointed at, but it was kind of hard to open. So I pushed harder, and a giant bookcase came crashing down onto the floor. I don't have any idea why they put a huge bookcase in front of a push door. But now there's a permanent sign on the door that says, "Do not open this door ever, TL. Doctor, I accidentally pushed down a huge bookshelf and now there's a super angry sign on the door." A friend and I were skipping state-mandated senior year testing because we didn't have homeroom classes and were having breakfast at a restaurant with our parents' permission when the school district superintendent and our high school principal got seated at the booth right behind us. Some snarky comments and a couple of parental get-out-of-jail-free cards later, we both got off with no consequences. But from the next year on, the school worked with city and county law enforcement to ensure no one else got away with the same thing. As far as I know, they are still doing county-wide restaurant sweeps 20-some-odd year later. Some dude was caught jerking off into a milkshake in a kitchen where I was the dishwasher. He was fired, but the cook jokingly proposed a rule. From now on, before we serve milkshake, we squirt some of it into Jen's, a waitress, vagina. If she gets pregnant, we know it's contaminated. If she's not pregnant, she can just squirt it back into the cup. One of the other waiters was like, "Wait, doesn't it take 9 months to find out if a girl is pregnant?" I dropped a whole stack of dishes. I was laughing so hard. At a previous place of work, you cannot lock the wheels on the rolling carts. I had a micromanager that did not know how to do fucking anything my job entailed, but wouldn't let that stop him from telling me bullshit like we need to 83 of a specific unit through to stress testing by the end of today or else there will be repercussions, except we can't because a certain micromanager failed to order the fucking parts we needed to do that. Anyway, one day I was feeling like shit and did not want to deal with him. So I got every unit I'd need for that day, made some walls around me, and locked the wheels on them so no one could get to me. Then for good measure I put on some music and cranked it up loud. It was hard to keep the smirk off my face when micromanager started poking his head into the open slots of units I'd already worked on trying to get my attention. My floor manager just sent me emails that day for whatever she needed. And all of that got done, of course. Edit, forgot to mention. I have no idea why the music was apparently fine, but locking wheels was the issue. There was supposed to be a cap on vacation time at one of my previous employers. I don't know why no one ever picked this up. It was a startup. Still, people had left before I did, but the vacation kept accruing. When I left, instead of 2 weeks in the bank there were 5 weeks in there, and they had to pay me. I'm sure they could have jumped through hoops, but there wasn't anything in the handbook that had a cap in writing, although we were told it was 2 weeks, so they just paid me. The fact I didn't leave on bad terms helped a lot, I'm sure. When I got the check, it was for 9 weeks, not 5. Why 9, you ask? We also had a policy that after 5 years you could take a month-long sabbatical. This was considered earned time, and if you didn't take it and left the company, it was payable as unused PTO. After I left, they made damn sure no one had more than 2 weeks of PTO banked, put out a new handbook, and they ended the sabbatical for new employees going forward. People grandfathered in got to keep it.